hip internal rotations. I saw this one on Instagram. I'm pleased to say that every once in a while I see something amazing and I steal it for my own purposes. So if you see this and you go, hey, that's my move, yes, I stole it from you. I can't remember exactly where I got it from at this point, but it came from Instagram. I love this one because of how simple it is to address something that is kind of difficult to address and gets underappreciated a lot, but sometimes people go off into the weeds and be like, oh, your hip internal rotation. This is a very simple way to just get in some baseline hip internal rotation and not make too big of a deal of it. So your setup, you can start just sitting cross-legged. I go into this position here, so this is kind of like windshield wipery, seated 90-90 kind of thing. I'm trying to keep things relatively tight. I don't want to get too spread out for this. All I'm going to do is swivel my hands to that outside hip, and then boom. That's it. That's all I need to do. Now you may find, depending if you are very tight in internal rotation, that you're like, oh, I can't move my hip. Yeah, that means you need to work on this. So you can make this a little easier by getting closer and getting into this position here, kind of allowing your hip a little more freedom to move. You're like, okay, cool, I got some motion. As you get better and getting more upright, you can imagine that this is going to make, like I can't even move it as I get more upright. So this is going to be your kind of meet in the middle ground. I'm away from my hip, but it's just hard enough that I can get some motion. As I get further and further away, it's also going to be more difficult. I can't get quite as high. So you can imagine, probably impossible. I can't even sit up straight because I don't have the flexibility to do so. But let's say I was perfectly flexible and I could get up tall here and move my leg out there and rotate it. That would be kind of where you're headed. But for most people, it's probably not necessary. In almost all circumstances, this is going to be a hold type mechanic because this is going to be oriented towards your ability for your hip to internally rotate, so you can do things like A, move your hip to here, then just the various things you might need to do in your hips. Back to my sport of jiu-jitsu, hip internal rotation is super necessary as that just manipulates through space, okay? Your sport may vary. It's related to your squat a little bit. It's related to movement dynamics, being able to laterally move, all this kind of stuff. And just having a baseline is enough for most people. Where it becomes especially problematic is when people get to here and they go, I can't move this. It's like, well, you have an absence of hip internal rotation, so let's get you a little bit. You're gonna see this here as a, let's check the box, let's not focus too much time on it, let's make sure you have it, we can develop it a little bit. But in general, it's just so easy to get into and such a direct addressing of a thing that happens to be a problem for a lot of people that we're gonna do it.